Welcome to my 100 subscriber special, Steel Vengeance vs Zadra. As I got to experience both of these amazing RMC hybrid coasters, I decided to compare them as they are both on the bucket list for many enthusiasts. For this coaster duel, I won't be using a points system as I don't think points are helpful for comparing these rides. The categories will still be the same I used in other duels. And now, let's waste no time and see which of these rides I prefer. Steel Vengeance is an RMC hybrid coaster from 2018. Located at Cedar Point in the United States, it's the RMC conversion of the old Din Corporation wooden coaster Mean Streak. It holds the record for having the most airtime on Earth. Zadra is an RMC hybrid coaster from 2019. Located at Energylandia in Poland, it's RMC's first ground-up hybrid coaster. As Iron Gwazi is not open to the public yet, Zadra is currently the fastest hybrid coaster on Earth. I rode Steel Vengeance in 2019 a total of 3 times, including one night ride. On Zadra, I got a total of 8 rides in 2020. I got to ride both rides in the very back, but only Steel Vengeance in the very front. And now, let's talk about the actual rides. Both of these roller coasters are incredible, and they are truly world class. They deliver great variation of forces, and there basically isn't a single major downside with them. The first thing I want to talk about are the similarities of these rides, because there actually aren't that many. The first drop on both of these rides is pretty much the same. Zadra's is just slightly taller. Both drops deliver some amazing ejector airtime in the back row, though in the front half of the train they are nowhere near as good. I like both of the drops equally much, even though Zadra has a great head chopper moment at the bottom. Both rides provide a great view from the top of the lift hill, and here I do prefer the view from the lift of Steel Vengeance, as you have the lake next to the coaster. Another similarity is the very small bunny hill right after the first drop. Both rides feature one, but here I prefer the one on Zadra, as it's turning a bit to the right while also having another head chopper moment. Both of these hills have some ejector airtime, it's not that sustained or strong, but it's a nice extra. But from here on, the ride layouts are quite different from each other. Let's talk airtime now. RMCs provide some of the best airtime there is, and both of these rides have some great airtime moments. But as you might have guessed, Steel Vengeance does it better. First of all, Steel Vengeance has a lot more airtime than Zadra, and it's some really good air as well. Zadra still has its moments, like the drop of the big turnaround, the wave turn, and the twisted bunny hill. The airtime moments on Zadra do hold up to the ones on Steel Vengeance, and they partially even beat it, but it's just not that much compared to other RMCs. But what Zadra lacks in airtime, it does make up for with its intensity. As someone who loves high positives and snappy transitions, I was pleasantly surprised with Zadra. Many of the valleys and turns were really powerful, and the high speed made most of the transitions super snappy, just how I like it. Steel Vengeance on the other hand, is not that forceful. It still has its intense and snappy spots, but those are not as good as on Zadra. Summing these two categories up, Steel Vengeance is the airtime machine while Zadra is the intensity monster. Inversion wise, both rides are quite similar. Zadra has 3 and Steel Vengeance has 4, and they are not particularly the best. Zadra's huge 0G stall underneath the lift hill is one heck of an inversion, though the other 2 rolls are not that strong. Steel Vengeance also has one standout inversion, the snappy 0G stall. The other inversions aren't bad, but they could have delivered quite a bit more. Moving on to smoothness, as these rides are RMC hybrid coasters, they are both insanely smooth. Some taller people might not like the shin guards, but I don't mind them. There is not a single jerky, rattly or rough spot on either of these rides, and they are both very rideable because of that. Pacing and duration wise, these rides are crazy good. They fly over the track at an incredible pace, and there isn't too much to complain about here. Steel Vengeance might have a mid-course brake run, but that is fine because the ride is really long. The mid-course is also the only thing that kinda kills the pace for a brief moment. Zadra has a shorter track length, and your duration is quite a bit shorter, but it flies through most of the layout at arguably the best pace ever. But there's one section that does interrupt the great pacing: the camelback. What looks to be a crazy sustained ejector hill turns out to just be a sustained flowjector hill. It isn't a bad element, but it doesn't fit in with the rest of the ride, and it does bother me a bit. Right after this hill, the ride starts flying again at its insane pace. While I don't mind shorter rides, Zadra also could have done a few more things at the end, as the ride hits the final brakes with a lot of speed. At this point, I have talked about the most important things, but before deciding which ride I prefer, another quick overview of these rides. Zadra is pretty much the entire first half of Inversions and quite a bit better, but Inversions has that amazing second half. I highly recommend both of these rides, as they are some of the best coasters out there, but in the end, one of them has to be superior. Do I prefer Zadra for its great pacing and intense layout, or do I prefer Inversions for its insane amount of airtime and its great duration? Well guys, here you go. I prefer Steel Vengeance. It is really close, but in the end, Steel Vengeance does deliver a bit more than Zadra. This might surprise some of you, but yes, I do rank Steel Vengeance higher. It's a great thing that RMC tried to make a more intense ride instead of an airtime machine, but I must say that they are better at making airtime machines. I won't tell you how Untamed holds up to Zadra yet. That will remain a secret for some time. And there you go. Now you know which hyper hybrid I prefer. What do you think of these rides? Thanks for watching. Bye.